Hello friends, myself Dr. Abhay S Nirgude. I am Professor in Community Medicine, Dean Faculty of Medicine, Yenepoya Medical College, and Deputy Director of Yenepoya Center for Faculty Development. So greetings from Yenepoya deemed to be University. Today I am going to speak about micro-teaching. How we learn. The skills like surgical skills, critical skills like intubation for life-saving, vaccination as a preventive care, computer skills, we all learn by doing it. Then similarly, teaching skills also we have to learn by practicing it or learning by doing. So how we can learn teaching skills? So micro teaching is one such method by which we can learn the teaching skills. The specific learning objectives of today's session are: at the end of the session you should be able to define micro teaching, explain the utility of micro teaching in honing teaching skills, write the steps in micro teaching cycle. Dr. Allen and his group evolved micro teaching in 1963 in America to improve the teaching skills of a teacher. They defined micro teaching as a scaled down teaching encounter in class size and time. Now, what is micro teaching? So micro teaching is an organized, scaled down teacher training program where a trainee teacher plans a short lesson, teaches it to a reduced group of students, say 3 to 10, in 5 to 20 minute lesson, and then reflects on their teaching afterwards. So here, please remember, everything is micro, that's why it is called as micro teaching. The lesson is micro, the audience is micro, and the time given is also micro, that is small. What happened next? After the session, the micro lesson is reviewed, discussed, analyzed, and evaluated to give a feedback. So in the end, the teacher will get a teaching prescription about his or her teaching. Then the trainee teacher reteaches the micro lesson, incorporating the feedback. Now, who should practice micro teaching? The trainee teacher, that is the postgraduate, pre-service teacher, in-service teacher, and even the experienced teacher can improve their teaching skills by practicing micro teaching. So what is the utility of micro teaching? It provides the opportunity to learn teaching skills, sharpening and developing of specific teaching skills and eliminating the errors, self-assessment of teaching skills. Also, we can assess the teaching skills of others using this micro teaching method. It builds confidence and improves both content and method of teaching. It is applicable at all stages, not only to the teachers at the beginning of their career. We conduct the faculty development program as a part of faculty induction as a Guru Dakshata at the beginning. Also, it is applicable for the senior teachers as well. It enables understanding of behaviors important in the classroom teaching. Now, the non-verbal communication, the body language, we need to appreciate the answers given by the students, give them a feed forward, what type of behavior, how the teacher should carry himself or herself in a classroom is also can be learned by micro teaching. It provides skilled supervision with an opportunity to get a constructive feedback. So the emphasis is on how to teach rather than what to teach. Now, what skills can be acquired by micro teaching? There is a range of skills we can learn by micro teaching. Now, please remember, micro teaching, as we mentioned, it is a micro skill. So, not all skills cannot be learned in one session. So, we need to identify which are the skills which we need to improve. We require a feedback. That skills you can practice as a part of that session. Now, lesson planning, you want to develop yourself, how to develop a lesson plan. Lesson plan is nothing but a blueprint of how you are going to conduct that session. Set induction is one such critical skill, that is how to arouse interest among the audience, how to catch their attention in the beginning, that is set induction. It is known fact scientifically that the attention span for the audience or the participant is 20 minutes or so. So we need to practice what is called as stimulus variation to break the monotony. So what stimulus variation you are planning, that skill you can learn. Presentation skills, how to make the session interactive, how to use the audio visual aid properly, How should be the non-verbal communication, your body language? What big idea you want the student to learn, what message you want to reinforce during your session, and most importantly, the closure of the session and the evaluation, whether the student have learned what they are supposed to learn at the end of the session. So these all are the micro teaching. By micro teaching we can learn these skills, but remember, we need to pick the skills what you want to improve for that particular session. Now this is teach, critic, reteach model, a micro teaching cycle where you can plan. I want to learn set induction. So plan a session to improve the set induction skill, teach, implement that skill, collect the feedback, then work on the feedback and reteach, and then you can apply this to a classroom teaching. Now feedback, you can take it from the observers, the peers. However, if you are not comfortable in collecting the feedback or getting the feedback from the peers, you can video record your presentation. There are AI tools are also available to record your session, and then you can observe yourself using self-assessment tool. Now, how a typical micro-teaching session is conducted. It is a self-managing role in rotation. So one can be the presenter, one can be a timekeeper. You can give a 5-minute warning, then 7 minutes the session should end. The audience can be 3 to 10. Peers for specific constructive feedback. So micro teaching session typically will be for 5 to 7 minutes, and the feedback is for 2 to 3 minutes. Now one is presenting, then the second audience, one of the participant can go and he or she can present. So these are the different roles played by the different people in a micro teaching session. Now there are pros and cons of micro teaching. Though it develops confidence, it brings new insight. More importantly, the ability to receive or give the feedback will improve through micro teaching. But the criticism against micro teaching is that it is highly artificial. It should become part of your teaching training. It should not restrict yourself all these skills to the practicing the session only. Now, how to evaluate the micro teaching session? Because without evaluation and working on the feedback, the micro teaching session is incomplete. There are two ways of evaluation: self-assessment and peer assessment. You can practice both or either of them. Now there are certain self-evaluation questions you can ask yourself at the end of the session. What I learned from preparing and teaching this lesson, my general overall feeling about this lesson. If I were to teach this lesson to student, I would make following changes, because we realize that something not went well. So you can think of that. I feel my level of preparation for teaching the lesson was very good, good or average. The success for any good session is preparation before the session. You need to work on the session, read about the resource material, prepare yourself, then only you can deliver a good session. Few more questions. I thought my peer response to the lesson was acceptable. Whether you could able to say that it is fair that they have given this response. The most difficult component of teaching this lesson was, the most positive aspect of this experience was, and how would like to grade the scale on a scale of 1 to 5 your own session. So these are some of the questions for self-evaluation. Now, if your friends or peers are evaluating it on a scale of 5, there are certain checklists they can use it. See that whether the presenter arouses interest in the audience, that is set induction is done. Whether the specific learning objectives are SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant and time bound. Is there any clarity in presentation? Whether interaction has been attempted, effective communication skills, their body language, non-verbal cues, how effectively the audio-visual aids has been used, whether stimulus variation has been practiced, summarization is done at the end, evaluation or assessment, how it is done or attempted. So the peer evaluation can use this structured checklist for evaluating the micro teaching session. Now, giving the feedback we have to be very clear, specific and future oriented. It should be feed forward, how it should be done. It should be actionable points to improve. Justifiable, it should be individual specific. And there are different models of giving feedback, because people will appreciate if you recognize their good, what is good about the lesson delivered. So sandwich feedback, you can give that it is good, but some areas you can improve, but overall it is very good. That we call it as a sandwich feedback. 2x2 feedback means what are two good things in this presentation, what are the two things if you were into that position, you would have done it better. So 2x2 feedback method also you can use it. Now friends, to summarize, we have seen micro-teaching is a scaled down teaching method where everything is small, the session is small, micro, the audience is micro, and the time given is micro. It has a good utility in improving the teaching skills. We have seen the micro-teaching cycle. You can plan for some whatever skill you want to improve, implement that, obtain a feedback, work on that feedback, and then you can implement in the classroom. Evaluation is very essential. It can be self-evaluation by video recording, or it can be evaluation by the peers. You can use both methods or either of that, and the feedback has to be clear, specific. You can use some of the models to give individualized feedback by 2x2 model or sandwich model. These are some of the references. So thank you. So I would like to end by saying the classroom teaching is like learning to swim at a deeper end of the pool, and micro teaching is an opportunity to practice at the shallower and the less risky side of the pool. Thank you.